My name's Austin. This is the Mopar Garage, and we build cool stuff in here. Yet another Shelby video. We are really rocking and rolling on this thing. I know to you guys it looks like it's taken weeks, but the last like 3 or 4 videos have taken place over like 3 or 4 days. So we are really getting a ton done. Today we have some bad news, not clickbait. And at the end of the day, it's not really bad news either. The head is ruined on this car. So Steven Seal, if you guys haven't been following along, we're having Turbo Dodge parts. Steven Seal redo our head and turbo. The turbo is, I think, still going to be able to be rebuilt, but the head is junk. It was cracked, it's been welded, it's been repaired, it's just terrible. He sent me some pictures, which when they went to sandblast it, the head really started showing these imperfections. I'll put them up here on the screen right now. But this thing is, as you can see, just cracked, repaired, damaged. It's no good. So, luckily, because Steven Seal is the man, he is going to provide us with a head off a later model car, which is, I guess from what he told me, is a Mexican casting, which is a lot less prone to cracking. So we're going to get ourselves a new head, and we're going to rebuild that one. So it's going to be a different head, but plans don't change there. Fantastic, right? The thing I want to start to get accomplished today is finally cutting this subframe off. I've been putting off doing this. It's not a fun job because it's welded on this car. If you guys haven't been following along, the subframe is held on by 4 main bolts. So you basically loosen the ball joints, take the 4 bolts off, and the car drops, right? So, or the subframe drops. So, unfortunately, they welded on all 4 corners on this car, and we cut through the front welds. Subframe didn't drop. Looked at the back, realized kind of hidden in behind the subframe, the back welds or the back side is welded. So, can't get any of my cutting tools in there, can't get a drill in there, can't with a grinder piece on the end, you can't get much in there. So I'm gonna go and try to find a tool that's gonna allow us to cut this thing off. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. So here's the front side that we had to cut through. This thing was just super booger welded. We had to cut it apart, right? So both fronts we cut off, only to find the backs. So we're under the car here. The back side of the subframe is also welded. And that's harder to get to than it looks. I mean, you got fuel lines right here you don't want to damage. And it's welded just the back, I think. Or at least it seems that way. But then there's some booger weld in here too. It's gonna be a mess. I don't know, I gotta get a really small cutting tool. It's hard to tell because I got the camera on fisheye right now. Hard to tell just how tough it is to get in there. And the other side is the same way. So let's go see if we can find a tool that's gonna allow us to drop this thing. Man, these cutting wheels are tiny. I guess that's what we need to get in there, though. 1.6 amp. Is 1 step up, 0.2 more amps. So 35 bucks, we'll just do this one. All right. Guess we're doing this. For anyone wondering, Dremel makes their money on the attachments. The tool, 99 bucks, you get all this, pretty good deal. But 15 bucks for 5 of these little tiny things, and then 15 bucks for 2 of these little tiny things. That's aggressive. I hope Amazon makes some cheap knockoffs, because that will be the direction we go. All right, we got our unit set up here. It's got this easy lock that I don't trust at all. So we're gonna have to be careful of that one. But hopefully this thing fits in there. If not, hopefully we can return it. Well, we're making a little progress. If we can get all this booger off right here. I don't believe it's welded in the front. Well, it might be welded right there. Which we could get to from this side. So that's not a huge deal. So we'll just get the rest of the way through this, I guess, and go from there. The old Dremel seems to be working okay. I wish I had more space under here, but other than that, things are great. Well, the fantastic news is on the front side, Mr. Weld is already broken, which is kind of scary if I try to drive the car that way, but also good news for us because we've got I am gonna have to hire someone to refabricate this or try to weld it, borrow a welder, because it is broken off that tab right there by the looks of things. So we may have to re-weld her on or find a new subframe or something. So there's that to think about. So it looks like we've just got what's left on the back side, I think. Yeah. And she should drop. All right, so after a bunch of grinding, that would have been too boring to film. We got the subframe dropped enough to pull this steering rack out of here. The only bummer is, and the thing I've got to figure out what I'm gonna do, is I ground the welds to where they were weak enough for this thing to drop, but it bent the ear. See where it bolts up in? It bent, let's see if I can reach up in here, right here. And that's what allowed the subframe to drop. These welds are still hanging on because I can only get so much done on them, even with the Dremel. So it's dropped enough to pull the steering rack out and do the thing we needed to do. That's why we dropped it. But the question is, now what we could do is we could lift it right back up, and that would be able to have us, we'd be able to put our front bolts in, and then maybe we hire a fabricator to come in and gusset this thing and weld this thing and make this all nice in the back here, because maybe we just pull the steering rack with the subframe hanging here and we don't totally remove it. So I'm kind of thinking that's the direction we might go right now, because I can't get that weld ground anymore. And then the subframe dropped and it bent these ears. So, and I think it's worse on the other side. So I think we service it just like that. Here's the other side, just in case you were wondering. It just bent right where it was broken. It bent, and that weld is still hanging on in parts. So it's either cut the subframe off, get a new subframe, which maybe I'll price one out, or just bend it back up into place and gusset this, and that I would hire a fabricator for. I don't trust myself to do that level of safety welding. Anyway, let's pull that steering rack out. We got her low enough for that. That's a win. Pull these. So 4 bolts to pull these guards off, 1 each front and back on either side, and then 4 bolts, boom, boom, and then other side on the rack itself. So let's pull all that. See if I guessed my socket sizes here correct. I didn't. Nope. Got that one. They love the 13 millimeters on this car, or 1/2 inch, I guess. This one I need to grab another socket. Yeah. You're welcome for the excellent camera angle here. I'm removing these 2 power steering lines to get to this last bolt on this thing because the line's kind of in the way. And then we should be able to pull this rack out right here. That is something we've been waiting for a while. Yes. Woo. Well, that is a welcome sight right there. Our steering rack is out and on the ground, ready to get sent off to be rebuilt. I did cut one of these lines to get to this bolt on the back to pull this thing out. I guess I could have reached in behind and pulled it out on this side, but my phone had died, so I had no camera, so I couldn't see in the back. So I just cut it because these are gonna be new anyway, since we're having this thing all rebuilt. So that's fantastic. My subframe did drop more. So I think these ears in the back are pretty weak at this point. It's, maybe what we end up doing is getting another used subframe and just doing a new subframe under there. Or maybe there is a way for a fabricator to come in and really strengthen the back of it. I don't know, we'll have to see on that one. Let me know what you guys think in the comments for that one. Next video, our head will probably be back, which is awesome for me. It's like a month from now or 3 weeks from now that we'll have that back. But for you guys, it'll probably be the next video because these videos, like I said in the beginning, they've been pumped out in a very short period of time. But for you guys, it feels like weeks. So excited to get that head back, get the motor together, get that running. Really appreciate you guys watching. Thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel if you like Dodge stuff, and we'll see you on the next one.